So can you guys see everything?
I
No, I
can't
don't.
see. I just see everybody on here. I don't see anything.
It doesn't look like you're sharing yet.
You don't see it. Okay, let's try it again.
Not yet.
How
There
about
it is. No, he's yep.
now? All right, everything popped up there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me go to the slideshow. So we're going to kick it off with the initial pieces of the life stories, assessments, and MDS. I will edit that. I did take off what we call resident profiles. I forgot to delete it from this main screen here. But we're going to start with those key foundational pieces that you will need from the life enrichment standpoint and memory care standpoint for that documentation. So to get started, look at the goals that we're going to cover. So the main goal is to understand the why. So the why behind identifying our residents' life stories and preferences. So we all know with person-centered care, surveyors, all the moving parts, they're going to look at, and we should be planning our programming based on the resident interests and history and preferences that they have. And we know that will change as our residents change. The second goal is we're going to learn the new process, so that being MatrixCare, for obtaining those preferences and how it supports quality and compliance. We're going to look at understanding the translation of those preferences and how we say pull or transfer those to that MDS section F that we complete. And then just looking at creating simple, clear, repeatable approach. So again, this is what all of our Trilogy campuses use. So it's the same across the board, specific to whether you're assisted living, and then also that healthcare skilled side of care. And then, again, this is the starting point, but your confidence as we go through these webinars and once you guys go live with Matrix, just gradually building your confidence and aligning with the expectations. All right. So we're going to start with the memory care piece with the life stories. So this applies, our life stories apply to both memory cares that are assisted living based and memory cares that are skilled. So this is a document that we complete for both types of memory care neighborhoods. So when you think about the why, so all of our residents, right, come to us with a life story. So the foundation of our care and memory care specifically is knowing the residents, because a lot of our residents in memory care cannot, advocate and tell us those full life stories. So we rely a lot, not just on them, but on their family members so that we can provide that optimal care and that person-centered care every day. So looking at the why enhances your residents' quality of life, so helps identify those important pieces of the life story, their interest, patterns, so that we can anticipate those needs, support that purposeful engagement, and deliver that person-centered care. Improving the care, so as you all know, the more that you know about your residents, the better care that you can provide. So as you can anticipate some of those needs. And it provides that insight to the global team, that interdisciplinary team, for as a tool to gather more ideas for interventions and approaches. And then just in general, strengthening communication. So if we all have a shared understanding among the caregivers and the other departments, the more that we know about the residents and the more that we can share, the better care, again, that we can provide. So it eliminates that guesswork. So to start off, so when you think about the first piece is, when do we complete the life story? So we partner with the marketing team, and they usually introduce this document once a family member makes a deposit or that commitment to move their loved one in. So it's introduced as early as possible, and then as the memory care leader, you would follow up to make sure that ideally we would get that back before the resident moves in. We know that doesn't happen all of the time, but we try to strive to get that back as soon as possible, because we know, day one, if we know some of those key things, that can optimize that personalized care. There are two types. I shared with you guys the paper version. We do also have an electronic PDF where they can, you can email it to them and they can fill in the answers and email it back to you. So there are a couple options as far as what what the family may prefer as far as how to complete it and get it back to you. Next, we're going to look at, so how do we get to that? So you guys are going to see as we go through each of these documents, again, we know you don't have access to MatrixCare, but this will give you a good visual of what it looks like once you're in there. So a lot of these snippets that you're going to see, again, are the visual of the steps. So you'll be able to access these documents, these step-by-steps, and print these off once we get closer to going live. So how to access. So first you're going to log into MatrixCare and you will have what we call the single sign-on once you guys have access, which makes it easy just to log right in. Then at the top, you're going to search facility. So that's always the first thing because there may be, depending on where you are, we have our health center or skilled, and we have what's called in Matrix nursing home or well, that would be health center, sorry, or your assisted living. So depending on that facility type, here, you're going to choose that. And then you click search, and that will open up, as you can see here, one of our campus names, Cypress Point Health Campus, and this is their assisted living. And then that gets you into that neighborhood. So the next step then after that is you're going to pick your resident. So depending on whose life story that you have completed, you're going to go to resident at the top then, and then you're going to search resident. And you're going to, you can search by first name, last name, both, but you really could just type a letter and it'll bring up, any resident with the last name S. And then you can click on that resident to access their MatrixCare file. One thing to point out is status. You generally always want to make sure if you're working with a residence file, you want the active residents, the ones who are in the campus currently. So just make sure, a lot of times that's auto checked, but just in case, just check that that's checked, active is checked. And then you're going to search and access that particular residence file in Matrix. So next you're going to, so here you can't see, there would be a photo here if that resident was a resident, and their name and some of their face sheet information up here in that snippet there on the top right. But then on the right, you're going to click to resident, and we're going to go to observations. So every document, when we're talking about these life stories, the assessments, and any other things that you learn with MatrixCare, a lot of the documents are under observations. So that's a key one to remember, resident observations. Then you're going to choose add observation because we're going to add a new one. We're adding that life story, right, for that resident. Then you're going to see a lot of different categories, but I specifically snipped the activities section because that's where our documents, all our observations will be located under the activities portion. So you can see there, I highlighted the document called Trilogy, Life Enrichment Legacy BFF Life Story. So that would be then the document that you click on to add. Then it's going to pull up this screen and it's going to ask you to enter the date that the observation occurred. So when did we capture that life story and the time? And if you're not exactly sure, you can put an estimate in there. But you want the date that the observation actually occurred and then the time. And then it's always going to ask you for any observation for that short description. And for this, you can just put life story, what it is. And it will not let you go forward if you leave that short description box blank. So you do always have to put something in there. If this is your first life story, the initial admission one, you will not see this copy previous observation box. But if you are updating somebody's life story, and this is maybe the second version, you gathered more information maybe from their initial admit, we enter a new version, it's always going to ask you if you want to copy the previous one, and you can say yes or no. Either or is okay there. So it will copy all the answers from the previous one to the updated one. So that is an option. You can choose yes or no there. Then you hit next. The next screen that you guys will see for the life story is the option to now complete it, to enter your data. So to enter or complete the observation, you're going to choose View Update. And that's with any observation. When we talk about some of the other ones, you're going to see these same options. But think of View or Update as entering your information. This report option we'll mention again in a second, but if this was already completed and you just wanted to print it off, you could then click report and you could print it off for that. So this is a snapshot of that front page, and this is what that will look like. A lot of the categories, not all, but will be yellow. And anytime you see a yellow box in an observation, that means you have to enter something. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you might not have data for a particular category, and there are options in some of those boxes to click like, no information. It's like a comment box. You can add a note so that the yellow goes away. So you have to complete all entries of the life story. Anything yellow must have information entered. If you do not have information again, and it's yellow, just enter no information or NA, where it allows you to do that. So once you're finished entering that information, always hit, so you guys know, somebody walks in the office and you get an interruption. We've all experienced this. The worst thing is to walk away and Matrix will time out and you will lose all the information you put in. So always, always, always at minimum hit save before you walk away from your computer, and it will save what you've entered. Once it's fully complete, if you've entered all of your data, all you have to hit then is complete, and it logs the whole thing as completed. So once completed, again, kind of going back, you're going to want to print off the completed observation, that life story, for your staff so that they have it in what we will communicate as that life story binder. So they have that as a tool that they can look at to get to know the residents. So once completed, you can open that observation, and then you would go to this report, and this allows you to then print it, and you can place that printed copy in that binder. So that is all for the life story. And that, again, that's for memory care, both assisted living and healthcare skilled. So that document applies for both types of memory care.
Ms. Vanessa, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So once we complete it, then it's gonna print all the 6 pages, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do we put in there for a medical number, or does that download that itself already on the bottom?
That'll already be in their file.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you won't have, you don't need to enter that on that document.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm now going to show you what that looks like. So you guys will see this too. So this is the home screen, and then we have that company single sign-on. So this is where you search your facility. So you would go to facility and whatever your campus name is there. I'm going to choose, you can choose all, and it'll open all of them. So I'm going to do that just for purposes so you can see that. search, and you can see it brings up this campus's AL, assisted living, and also their health center. So you're going to want to make sure you're in the correct neighborhood, and I'll just choose AL for memory care. So that otherwise it will not show health center residents. You just want to see your AL residents. Then I'm going to search resident. So resident, search resident. And I'm just going to put S there. And we'll click on Patricia. And that will open then Patricia's MatrixCare documentation, her files. If I want to add, so again, we're going to add a life story. So I'm going to go to resident, observations, and I'm going to add the observation here. So all these down here are observations. You can see one right here in progress, right? So all these down here are observations that were already either completed or they're in progress of being completed. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to choose life story, BFF life story here under activities. And I'm just going to leave this right now, the date it occurred and the time, and then short description, I'm going to type in life story. And then next. And now I want to enter the information. So I'm going to go to view update. And now it's going to open up that whole document where I can type in my information. Okay. So once that's all completed, see as I type in Joe, that's going to undo the yellow when I enter my information. When I'm all done, I'm going to hit save. Or if I'm completely finished, I'm going to hit complete. Just know that if you hit complete and you have not completed all the yellow sections, it will tell you, it will give you that warning.
And Vanessa, if I could add, if you can see there, it says state, it only gives you 4 options.
Yeah.
We didn't have North Carolina or Santa Fe, you know, all these other campuses. So for now, just pick Indiana possibly. Later in the year, this form may even go away once we get you guys on the engagement platform. So the way that we'll probably do live stories will be a little bit different. So we're not really updating it yet, as we're looking for other options that are going to be much easier to complete for live stories. So I just wanted to point that out because I know you know, some of you may not have the right state option on there.
Right now,
I'm going to close that.
Vanessa, a question.
Uh-huh.
This is PJ with I do the assisted living portion of it. I noticed that your assisted living is also known as memory care. Our assisted living is known as independent living, assisted living upstairs, memory care downstairs. We have it separated where AL is assisted living and independent, and memory care is memory care. So when it comes to life stories, is it something we're doing both for independent living and assisted and memory care?
It would just be for memory care.
Okay, so this portion of it, the life story would just be for memory care.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
All right. I just want to clarify that.
No, that's a great question because yes, some of the naming, you know, even by state might be a little bit different. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That document, that first one is strictly for memory care.
And then as far as stays, you said, I just want to reiterate that I heard you correctly. As far as the state, since we're not on the system, we would just use Indiana.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. The next document then we're going to look at is the assisted living admission assessment. So that initial life enrichment preference assessment, which would include that section F. Or no, it would not include section F. It's assisted living, sorry. So when you think of your assisted living, the assessments are pretty much the same when we look at assisted living than later when we look at healthcare, except you do have the MDS or section F portions for your health center. So we will not have that for assisted living. So let's get started on that. We have our new admission. So that can also be if a resident transfers from another neighborhood to assisted living. So if they are in any way a new admission to that neighborhood, we would want to complete a admission assessment. So sometimes we know residents can move from our skilled to our assisted living or assisted living vice versa. At times, we would either way, if they're new to the neighborhood, we would complete that for that neighborhood.
Now this paperwork is the AL Life Enrichment Assessment. It's not the annual. It's not the annual, right?
No, the annual will be next.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Yep. So the only two documents that we do for assisted living assessment wise are this admission assessment and then the annual. So the trilogy standard is to complete within 5 to 7 days of admission. We want to capture as much as we can, as quick as we can. So you do have those 5 to 7 business days after admission, because we know sometimes day 1 and even day 2, the resident can be very overwhelmed, and we may or may not get there immediately to, do our portion, and that's okay. But we do want to get it done as soon as possible. So looking at that 5 to 7 days after admission, again, you're going to log into MatrixCare, and same thing we just did, select that facility. And that would be assisted living for your particular campus. And you're going to select that, whatever that facility is. And again, you're going to select resident and search resident here, because we want to go into that residence account. So you're going to see some things repeat or hear some things repeat as well in some of these steps for accessing documents. So you're going to search the resident, again, using the last name, first name, hit search, and then you're going to select that actual resident like I demoed a minute ago and go into their chart. So same thing we just did. You're going to select resident and then this observations again, like we just did a minute ago. You're again going to click add observation. Now the difference is under that activities section, that box of options of observations, you're going to choose AL Life Enrichment Assessment. So that is the assisted living admission assessment, okay? So you do want to make sure you don't click annual, that you're clicking life enrichment assessment. In the description, and that's what you're going to put, life enrichment or LE admission assessment, or you can just put admission assessment, either is fine. But you do keep in mind, again, always have to put what it is in that short description box. Again, to open and start entering information from that assessment, you're going to click that view update option here in the middle. And then after filling in all the information, you're going to mark it complete. Or again, if you have to walk away and you don't finish it, definitely hit save before you walk away, so you can go back in and finish it later. But once done, always hit complete. Whoops. Now I'm going to show you that in Matrix. So similar steps like we just did, but I'm going to, we'll stay in Patricia's file or Patsy. So we're going to go to resident. So now I want to enter her assessment. So I'm going to go to resident observations. We're going to add observation, and we're going to click AL Life Enrichment Assessment. That's that admission. And you can see there, we'll talk about that in a second. You can see the annual version up here, the AL annual. So make sure you click the admission one. And then in that short description, we're going to say admission, assessment, and next.
Okay, I don't want to sound I don't want to sound confused, but I'm a little confused, just a little bit.
That's okay.
Unfortunately, because you stayed on the same name, but this was a person who was admitted into memory care. Now, are we doing life assessment in memory care and also in assisted living, or are we going to, or is just this?
Yes.
This just an assisted living portion of Matrix?
Nope.
Because you stayed on the same name, and she already did a life
Yes.
story. You said that was for memory care, but now you're doing a life story and a life enrichment assessment on the same
Yes.
person.
We would
So
do
we have
both
to do-
for. We would do an assessment and a life story. for memory care
So they
residents.
have to do both.
Yes.
Okay, for memory. Now, how about for assisted living, for independent living?
No, in independent living, we do not do these documents.
Okay, just want to clarify,
No,
yeah, because.
that's a good question. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
just
for
want to
asking.
clarify, because they're separated a little bit differently here on.
Yes,
in
and
this
I'm
building.
just using, this is not a real resident. This is like a practice portal.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I noticed you did a life story, which was,
Yes.
what you said was memory care, and now a life assessment, which is also
Yes.
memory care, correct?
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's everyone. So there's assisted living versions, which include memory care and regular assisted living, and then there's skilled healthcare versions of these that include skilled memory care and regular skilled.
Okay, perfect.
So there's just a difference between assisted living and skilled healthcare,
Which would be
which
a
I'll
SNF, right?
show you the healthcare later for those in
Which would be
health
the
center.
SNF. Okay,
Yes, SNF.
Got it.
Thank you. Yes.
okay, perfect. Okay.
Healthcare or SNF, same. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
No, these are great questions. And like I said, you guys don't have access to this. So that's why, this is just the initial overview just to kind of get that first visual on everything. Then we'll hit view update. And again, this is then the assessment that you guys have that we will plug in the answers. And you're going to see, those in health center or SNF will see a very similar document. But you will then see all these are yellow. So as you answer, very important, not very important, depending on what those questions are, you'll see that they go white instead of yellow. So you want to answer all the yellow categories. And then you would hit save or complete. And again, it's going to tell me I have unanswered information. That's okay. I'm just going to hit okay. And we'll exit out of there. So very similar path. You're just choosing a different document to enter. So everything, once you open that assessment, you're clicking view update to enter the information. Now, again, once that's completed, if you wanted for any reason, you usually don't have to print these, but if you wanted for any reason to print it, you would just hit report and you could print that off.
Miss Vanessa, I do have another question for you.
Uh-huh.
Because I know with SIF units, if we have like so many not very important or little important, does it kick in some type of a 5 why? Like, why is this? You gotta explain why they go to this route or not. Are you following me a little bit?
No, I was having trouble understanding. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So is there, if it's not very important, I mean, does it matter if, say, the resident says, no, that's not important, that's not important? Is
No.
it gonna bring up like, okay, you gotta explain why this is not important?
No, but that
Okay.
should flag to you if, especially in the SNF and healthcare, it will prompt some things, which we'll talk about later down the road. But if someone is telling you everything you're asking is not important at all or not important, that should at least flag for you that there may be depression or maybe another diagnosis or issue going on, of why everything is not important to them. So it's
No.
not an issue. It's not
Okay.
an issue if it's not important because we all don't like everything, right? So some of
Right.
these things are not important at all to some of us too. So it's just very resident specific, but if everything is being answered not important at all, there's probably something else more going on there.
Right, no, I understand, I just
Yeah.
know when I work at SIF unit, certain things would collect more work to do. That you would have to
No.
go back,
No,
Okay.
not for assisted living, no.
or memory care,
No, correct.
okay.
And with memory care, you're usually gathering this information, as you all know, from the families too. Some of the residents you can interview, and we want to do that where we can, but we know a lot of times we do have to interview the families for that life story and that assessment. Good questions, you guys. All right, that is the admission assessment. Now is the annual. Whoops. skipped ahead. So with the annual, again, very similar, except when we look at that document, you're not going to see some of those, we call them getting to know me questions. The assessment is pretty much the same as the admission. We're just regathering because we know things can change within a year, right? So we just want to do the annual to ensure that, you know, if anything's changed, that we captured that of interest. So this will be completed annually based on the month that they admit. So that is something at the end. I'll show you a snippet of a way that you can track that. But with assisted living, we don't have someone giving us a schedule and things of when these things need to be done. So we, as the leaders, those doing this, we have to track those completions ourselves. So we would base that off of that admission month. So if I'm admitted this month in March, you know, next March, I'm gonna need that annual completed in March every year. So again, you're gonna log in, you're gonna see some of this repeat. MatrixCare, facility, search your facility. You're gonna choose your facility that pops up, AL. Then you're gonna again select your resident. And then resident name. So look again, searching by last name or first name, active search, and that's going to take you to that residence chart. Then you're going to select again resident observations to take you to the observation options to add. You're going to click add observation, and then like I showed you a minute ago, there's that annual option. So there's AL annual life enrichment assessment. So that's a different version. That's your annual version. And you'd want to click that and type in the short description, annual assessment. So are you guys seeing a repetition there in some of these steps? And then to start the assessment, you're going to click view update. And again, that will let you enter in then all the information. And after that's completed, you would hit complete. And that assessment would be fully entered.
Okay, so this annual one that you're doing for the life enrichment assessment, it's talking about bath, showers, personal belongings, clothes that they wear, bedtimes, all that. A lot of that doesn't apply to activities, does it?
It does, but not always directly. But yeah, it applies to preferences. So when you think of
and now would this be for a SNF?
It would be for both, but in the SNF, that information pulls to some of that information. When we get to section F, that pulls to the MDS then, those section F questions that are specific to just activities.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of this would be like more for RAs. Yeah. It would be set up for RAs and maybe resident assistants, what has it, resident assistants. Okay.
Yeah, so there is a way that you would then share that information with caregivers then, where they would see some of those preferences, yes.
Okay.
We won't get to that today, but yes.
Okay.
So and that's why it's called that preference assessment and customary routines. When you see the document, it's all preferences, not just specifically activities. And then this is just a snippet. So we have a tool. Again, if it's we encourage it when it's new, but this is something you'll see later, but I just wanted to snip it. It's a nice way to track. So your admission date down here, when someone in assisted living, just assisted living, completes their admission, and then when they need their annual and when that's completed. So it just gives you an easy way to track. And then right here, you can filter the dates. So it goes January to December. Once you plug in your resident's information, their resident name, then you can put the date that admission assessment was completed. And you know every February that this resident, will just say John Doe on February 21st, we know every February he needs an annual. So we would complete that and put the date that we complete that. So this is just a very simple tool that you can use just to hold yourself accountable for planning purposes for that. And again, just for assisted living, which includes memory care, if you're assisted living memory care. And that is it for as far as assisted living admission assessments or memory care, life stories, and then that annual life enrichment assessment. So going back to Matrix, again, we'll go to another resident just for demo purposes. Let's put in B. And we got Charles Bush. So we're going to say Charles needs an annual and assisted living annual assessment. So we are going to now go to resident observations, add observation. We're going to choose now that AL annual option up here. We're going to put in annual assessment and we're going to hit next. Then we want to enter in the data. We're going to hit view update. And all of this is done electronically, not on paper. So you can take this right into your interview and answer these questions. You know, you guys have paper right now for education purposes, so you have a visual, but you guys will have all this electronic where you can just interview them and enter your answers right there. We have then assisted living, annual, and then again, all those questions that you guys have in front of you on your printout, you would just choose those answers as appropriately and hit complete. And that's it. And then that logs that document. So if I go to resident observations, you can see right here, there's an AL annual. Now I didn't finish it, of course, so it says in progress. But if I want to go in now and finish it, I can just click on it, go to view update, and I can finish those questions, okay? That is it for assisted living, and we're going to then now step into the SNF skilled side of the documentation. Does anybody have any questions from the memory care, life story, or assisted living piece?
I do, my friend. So are we gonna get a hard copy of the slideshow?
Yes, yes. You guys will get everything we have. We'll share. I'm not sure timeline wise because we don't want, again, it's a staggered rollout. So again, you guys won't have access to see this quite yet. So, but we want to get a jump start so this isn't completely, you know, foreign, close to the rollout date.
Sure. And then my other question, Miss Vanessa, is on the life story and the annual, is this something you want us to start now, trying to get caught up, or no?
No, not yet.
Okay. I just want to verify.
We're just getting a jump start on the information so that you guys can start seeing it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like to go forward, so that's why
Yes.
I'm asking. So thank you.
Yeah, so stay tuned as far as next steps, but for
Okay.
now, we're just giving you in March, we're giving you the information, the foundational pieces, and we'll go from there. All right, so at this time, anybody that is assisted living specifically, you're welcome to hop off the call. You're welcome to stay, but you do not have to stay on for the SNF healthcare piece.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
I think that was Amanda.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate
me.
your patience.
Bye.
And I'll
Bye-bye.
see you guys on Sunday. For those,
Yes.
I'll get to meet you guys on Sunday.
Have a good one. Bye. See you Sunday.
Bye-bye. Okay, so now we're gonna hop into the healthcare piece. And again, you guys will notice some similar steps, but this is specific to your SNF and your healthcare skilled side. All right, so we're gonna look at the admission assessment first. So when we look at that, again, you're gonna see you log into Matrix, select your facility. We're gonna skip over that. These are steps you guys have seen. And you guys are gonna choose then your HC. So whatever your campus name and that health center or nursing home. So that would be the same as SNF. You're gonna select your resident and then search resident to go to that specific resident's files. And again, you can search by first name, last name. If you only put in a letter, it will pull up everybody with the last name that starts with a B, whatever letter you put in, or you can type in their full last name. That's fine. Click active and search. Then you're going to select, as we did before, resident and observations to open up those options for that admission assessment. You're going to add the observation and you're going to click Trilogy Life Enrichment Assessment for if it's an admission. In that short description, you're going to just put admission assessment and click next. And again, same steps. You're going to view update to enter in your information. And when that's all completed, you hit complete, or again, if you have to step away, save it and you can go back into it. All right, so we're going to go back over and we're going to stay here with, or we're not going to stay here because I'm going to switch over to health center. So if I go to facility, search facility, we'll stay with Cypress. But now I'm going to click the HC neighborhood so I can access a health center resident. So now I'm going to go to resident, search resident. We'll keep the B in there and the active box, and we're going to search. And we're going to click Lula Bloomer. I love that name. And so we're now in Lula's file, and we want to do an admission life enrichment admission assessment. So we're going to go to resident observations, add observation, and now we're going to click right here in the middle is life enrichment assessment. And we're going to click admission, or type in admission in that short description and hit next. And now we want to enter it. So we'll hit view update and it's going to open that up to where, again, it looks just like, it's very similar to the assisted living version. And you're going to enter in the information there. And you guys will see those specific MDS questions are marked on your document. So when that's all entered, you're going to hit complete. And then that document is finished. And then for the annual, then, or significant change, because we do know that on your MDS schedule, however you guys are receiving that, that you have admissions, you have annuals, and you have significant changes, and even quarterlies, which we'll talk about later. So depending on what kind of review that is for that resident determines what type of assessment or document you're choosing. In this case, the annual and significant change are the same assessment. So if it's an annual or a significant change, we're going to choose the same option. Again, we're going to search our facility. These are all the same steps. Choose your health center facility or neighborhood. And then you're going to go to resident, search resident, search by name, the active box, the search. And then again, resident observations. Now here, you're going to still add observation, but you're going to choose annual or significant change life enrichment assessment. So whether it's annual or significant change, you're going to use the same one. So you're going to choose that and type in here. If it's annual, type in annual. If it's significant change in the short description box, you'll type in significant change. Then hit next. Then again, you're going to put in your information. You just hit view update to open that up. And once it's completed, you hit the complete button. I'm going to go and we're going to pull that up for this resident, for Lula. So if, well, let's say she's a significant change on your MDS schedule, you're going to go to resident for Lula, observations, and you're going to add observation. And then again, you're going to choose annual here, this third option, annual or significant change life enrichment assessment. And we're going to say she's a significant change. And then we're going to hit next. And then view update. So again, same visual, it brings up then all those questions to that assessment document. So once that's completed, you're going to mark it complete. And that will log. So if I go back into her resident observations, you guys will see she has a document in progress there that I opened, but I didn't complete it all the way. So that'll say again that in progress. So that's a great way to see if you have anything open that's not finished. All right. The next piece with that is part of, for an annual or significant change, you will need to do, so if you guys remember on the initial, or this last webinar for one-to-ones, we have the one-to-one needs assessment. So when someone is on your schedule for an annual or significant change review, and also quarterly, which we'll go over on the next webinar, the first thing you want to do is complete another one-to-one needs assessment to determine if anything has changed needs-wise for that person, for that resident. So with this assessment, you'll have to complete a new. So again, if you've already done it once, you're going to have then your current date and those numbers in there. A new one-to-one evaluation, and then you'll update that care plan, which we'll talk about later if there's any changes. If they do require a one-to-one, so if this is a significant change and I now require a one-to-one, you're going to make sure to add them to that weekly schedule, and then you're going to go into the care plan and make sure that that's part of the care plan. So an example.
Could I ask a quick question as I'm getting familiar with this needs assessment? Those date boxes, those 5 at the top, what is that? Just a one-time, I'm going to do it for this year, the next box is for the next year, or are those 5-day window?
Nope, it's neither of those. That's a good question. So let's say I admitted January 1st. So after, let's say a couple weeks in, you're going to evaluate me, you know, at least 7 days in, and we're going to say January 8th here. Let's just say January 8th. I admitted on the 1st. You're going to have information. Let's say I didn't need one-to-ones. My score, my engagement's high enough where I didn't show a need. Well, now I have maybe a significant change evaluation that MDS has on the schedule. I'm now a significant change. And you're going to do this then today, let's say March, you're going to put today's date and evaluate me again. So every time there's a comprehensive evaluation on your schedule, an annual, a quarterly, or significant change, you're going to reevaluate this person. So this might be January, then let's say I had a significant change, that's going to be March. And then you can use this up to 5 reviews. So if my next evaluation is a quarterly, you're going to have that date there and a new evaluation here in that 3rd line. So this is just a tool. This isn't a permanent part of the residence record. It's not electronic. This is just a tool to guide you guys based on their engagement, what their needs are. Does that help answer that?
Because
Yes,
that was just gonna be my question. Was that gonna
Yeah.
be electronic for us to fill out with
No.
each one? Yeah, so
At
that you
least-
answered that.
At least not currently.
Uh.
Yeah, not currently, no.
yeah,
Okay.
as I've done, like we've covered our whole facility already with these assessments. And so we're just to do it one time, correct?
Not one and done though. So.
Right, but I'm not
yes.
gonna do it like today and yesterday and the next
No,
day to get like a
no.
5-day window. Okay,
No. So they have to be there at least a week because you have to look back 7 days. So they have to be there at least a week before you do that initial one.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just right
Okay.
now it's different because we're coming into it differently, but
Yes. No,
Gotcha.
I understand. Yeah. So you can use, once this sheet is filled up and you've had, let's say I've been there 2 years and I need it, and this sheet is full, you just shred it and start a new sheet for me.
Okay.
So this is not anything we keep. It's just a tool that helps keep us on track.
Once we notice if someone admits or someone starts to do well in the programs and you notice it throughout the month,
Yeah.
you know, instead of reviewing it and that third month, can we just go ahead and do it the next month to maybe
You can.
eliminate? Okay.
So and that's where you rely a lot on your team too, hey guys, if you see that Betty is, we're seeing a lot more charting on her engagement, whether it's independent or group, she may no longer need it. Yeah. So definitely you want to take people off, that don't need it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, don't wait. If it's definitely something you're noticing, don't wait.
All right. And then I have another question.
Sure.
On some of the people who are 3 one-on-one visits. If they get up and they come to a program, during that week, can we eliminate one of those visits for that
No.
week? Or do we still do the 3 visits plus the program they came
You
to?
still would do the 3 visits because they need to show that consistently, more consistently. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good question too, but no, it wouldn't eliminate one.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
Like I'm looking at my one-on-one book that I've already created. I'm in skilled. So at the top of the paper, it says assessment based on a weekly observation. So I've been doing it for the 5 straight days.
Oh, okay.
I mean, am I supposed to be doing that? Because that's just kind of what I got out of the
No,
paper.
thank you
Okay.
for asking. No. So what that means is you're going to look back at the last 7 days of data, the last week, 7 or
Gotcha.
7 days. You're going to look at their participation and answer those questions.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think
So
what I'm gonna do, if this helps anybody, is do the initial one like we did. We did everybody yesterday.
yeah.
And then I think next week I'm gonna do one more. And that will give me that week look back.
Yeah.
And then I'll roll with what we
And
have.
that's up to you. Just know
that
you
make
don't
sense?
have to do that. Yes, but just know you don't have to do. Everybody does not have to do that. So if you have your baseline, you don't have to reevaluate them until they come up as a quarterly, annual, or significant change again, unless you see, like someone just mentioned a minute ago, a visible need where maybe they don't need it anymore. Where they can come off the list. You can do your own, just a one-off. You can reevaluate them and take them off your list. Yeah, but you don't have to, definitely don't do this every 7 days. You guys don't have that time. But these are good questions because it's all new. So now we are going to do a one-to-one recap. So I am going to go ahead and move forward because we do have some more content. But we will do a one-to-one recap and we'll have our office call next week as well, where you guys can come on and answer some more questions if needed. But we'll recap this on the next webinar as well, the one-to-one piece. All right. Now we will look at the annual or significant change preference assessment. So the way to see that is there's a tab at the top called RAI. In the residence chart, you're going to click on that, and then you're going to click on care plan. You're going to find the activities care plan, and you're going to click, we're going to go into more detail on this later, but just so you know where it is, we're going to click on the activities care plan and then review if it needs any changes. We're going to make those edits and mark this mark reviewed button. So sometimes you don't need to change anything, but this ties into that example. Let's say I was a 1-to-1 and that was care planned for me, and now I don't need it anymore. You're going to need to go in here and edit that care plan to take that off of my care plan. Okay, so that's what this portion means. And I'll show you how to get there. So you would just go to here in Lula, you would go to RAI, MDS, let's say she doesn't need 1-to-1s anymore. We're going to go to MDS assessments, or I'm sorry, care plan. And we're going to go to her activities care plan. I'm just going to click on one just for demonstration purposes. So that's what the care plan, again, we'll go over this more in the last webinar, what care planning looks like. But you're going to just look at this care plan. Let's say it's the activities care plan. This is not, but you're just going to review it, make sure it reads okay still, or make any changes. Again, we'll go over that later, and mark reviewed that you reviewed it. So that would be, you know, if there's 1-to-1 changes or any other changes from that assessment, you would always want to update the care plan. All right, so MDS section F. So this is probably the section that will sound more foreign. Not that the rest doesn't right now, but you guys will have this information again later, closer to your date where you'll need it to learn how, you know, what is section F? I think a lot you guys know this, but how do we pull it then to the MDS? So this is included in here. So I'm not going to dwell a lot on this because we will circle back with you all on this piece once you go live. But why? So CMS, we know it's a regulatory requirement where those section F questions are answered, that we gather data for those. So it shows activity preferences, routines, and their needs. And we know it's tied to financial reimbursement in general, the MDS, for our facilities. The other why is we provide then a care plan for that person-centered care. So we want to know what those preferences are so we can provide that person-centered care. When do we do section F? We do it in our admission assessment. So you guys can see those questions are on the admission assessment and they're on the annual significant change assessment. So all those section F questions are included there. That's in MatrixCare. And then that is under the RAI MDS 3.0 assessment tab, which we'll look at in a second. And this is only, again, for the SNF skilled residents. So we're going to log into MatrixCare, select your facility. These are all repeats. So we're going to skim through that, choose your facility, and you're going to go to resident and search resident, same as before. Type in your name. Click search. Now it's going to go to the main screen of that resident, and you can go to that RAI tab. Now we just clicked on care plan. Instead, we're going to click on now MDS 3.0 assessments, and you're going to select that appropriate. It's going to look a little like this. This is an admission example. You're going to see a date, a link that you can click on. So you're going to select that ARD date according to that assessment that you're completing. Okay. Or that section F that you're completing. You're going to scroll down and select observation and events import. So this is an option that you'll choose. And these will be blue, just like this. And then it's going to bring up your documents. So any documents that you can pull, there might be more than just life enrichment there as options. So you want to make sure to click this little box for life enrichment assessment, because that's your document that you completed. So you're going to check that box and hit update, and that's going to pull all those answers. Once we complete these steps, it's going to pull all your answers from that assessment automatically into the MDS section F portion. So then you're going to select F, which is our section, preference for customary routines and activities, and you're going to resolve copied answers. That means it's pulling your assessment information, all of that section F into the MDS. Then you're going to save and close. So this step, there's just a lot of little steps. Once you do this a few times, you'll be fine and familiar, but it does, I'm sure it's very foreign to you all right now. But that's how you pull. You don't have to retype. All that information pulls into that MDS. Then we have to sign. So you have to sign that you completed your section F. So you're going to select Z. So and I'll show you what this looks like. In Z, there's going to be options then to sign. So you're going to go to the signature of the person's completing the assessment, then select e-sign. So this is going to show you an e-sign option, and you're going to click that. Then you're going to check, we only want to sign, right, for section F. It might show other sections there, but we only completed ourselves section F. So that's the only box we want to check. And then apply your e-signature, and that completes the pull of that information to section F. I'm not going to go into a lot of details on this, but you guys may be familiar, I'm sure, with what's called a CA. So if we know if 6 or more of your answers on your assessment are not important or not important at all, I kind of touched on this earlier, that flags that there may be a problem, right? If nothing's important to that resident or not important at all in those answers, if you have 6 or more, it will flag for you to complete what's called that CA section. And that's in section V. We'll talk about that later, but that would be a section you would need to complete if that resident triggered for a CA to be completed. And your MDS nurse can help walk you through that as well, for those that trigger. Any questions on that? That section is a lot of foreign information, we know, but we just wanted to show you the steps just to get that started. And I will show you what that looks like here. So if I'm in Lula's chart and I go to RAI MDS 3.0, we can see in process currently is a quarterly, right? Now we're not talking about quarterlies right now, but I'm going to go down here to annual because we're not talking about the quarterlies right now. So she had an annual in August. I'm going to click on that. Let's pretend that's currently open or in process. So we're going to click on August. And see, you're going to see these sections here, right? So you guys can see here's our section F. Now these have already been completed and signed off on for this particular resident, which is why you see all these check boxes. So you won't normally see those green check boxes until your section is completed using those steps that we just went over. So if I open section F, you'll see that all those answers from your assessment here in a second from section F will show up as already entered. And this is grayed out because this assessment's already done. So I can't edit that, but see that section F up here, and it pulled all those answers over for you so you don't have to re-enter those. Okay. So that section, let's go back in there. that section Z, you'll see here, that's where the signatures. So once you pull those answers to section F using those steps we just went over, you'll go to Z down here and you'll sign it. So you see where there's signatures here, that's the MDS nurse. You're gonna see an option, that little blue option will be right in here to e-sign. So you'll click that and it'll let you electronically sign for F, for section F. See how she has F included. She signed for all those sections, this particular person. So it would just say F for you all there with the date.
Mhm.
If you want to see if a CA triggered, that's, you know, again, sidebar, that's then your V. So going back there, down here, care area assessment, you could click on V. And this would be yellow. So you would scroll down, and if your activities section is yellow, that means care area was triggered. Yes. So you're going to have a checkbox, and this box, all this will be yellow. And then you'll proceed to complete the worksheet for that.
Okay.
So we know this is all new and this doesn't fully make sense, but just so you guys can kind of see the beginning of these steps and see what that looks like. As far as entering your data in there. But this is that matrix home screen. This is what this will look like. And again, you can search by resident and go into their particular electronic health records for that.
Now, will MDS keep a list of our assessments and quarterlies with the date that we
Yes.
need?
So
Okay.
each facility does it similar, but a little different. I'm not sure exactly how we will do it for you guys, but yes, you will get a schedule of some kind. A lot of our campuses share like an Outlook calendar, like a shared Outlook calendar that they update live. So you can see for the week, you know, what you have scheduled, whether it's an annual admission, quarterly, or significant change. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's a good question. And then I kept this from last time. I think it was Deidre's maybe, I'm not sure, but how I feel. This is a lot for this webinar, this initial one, but how I feel after my documentation is complete. I think we can all relate to that. So I like that. I kept that.
Yeah, I agree.
So start date. So when your campus, we know it's a staggered go live dates based on your location. So we will let you know what those are closer to. And then, you know, we will also be partnering each of you with a Trilogy mentor or another life enrichment director to help with that initial rollout process. So just to walk
Nice.
through these pieces with you before you actually start that week doing it.
Good.
So I threw that in there, just a little relief there. It is new, you know, we know there's going to be lots of questions, ups and downs kind of things, and that's okay. And also for now, make sure, so no duplicate work. I know this came up in one of the previous topics, but your PCC, continue to use that right now until you go to Matrix, has to be used for your assessments and care plans until you go live. Okay. So continue doing what you're doing until that go live time for your campus. But we will share these tools. We'll have so we have 3 different webinars this month regarding the MatrixCare documentation. So we'll share all of these, you know, again, closer to, so you guys can re-listen to these webinars. You can print these PowerPoints off. We may even, for a couple things, provide like, you know, a specific tool, you know, handout for you guys to use as a reference too. So
That'd be nice.
we try to make it as easy as possible, but right now, like I said, we know it sounds very foreign at the moment, unless you've used MatrixCare before for another company. But any questions? I'm going to come back to everybody's beautiful faces. That's a lot of information. We went a little over, I apologize. But that is everything related to, again, your your life stories, your assessments, and the MDS for that.
I'm sure when we go live, I'll have lots
Yes.
and lots of questions.
Yeah.
That's, as for right now, you can't think of anything until you run into that moment. So
Yes. No, we understand, and we're ready for those questions. So again, continue doing what you're doing in regards to your care plans and everything for now until we get closer to that date. Okay. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. I'm excited to meet you all. Thank you, Deidre. Was there anything in the chat I forgot to stop and ask? I apologize.
There were a lot of things in the chat, but
Oh, okay.
Daniela has answered everything
thank you.
wonderfully. So
Thank you. I love you guys. Yeah. This is some heavy content to kick off this week. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you for your patience. Again, one little thing at a time. But we're trying to make this as smooth as possible. So, we appreciate you.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good rest of the week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.